Hey guys, it's Jay, and I am back after taking a year off from Call of Duty to focus more on PlayStation VR. I am reignited about Call of Duty. I'm very excited about World War II. I've been playing the beta for the last 2 weekends. I thought I'd give you some feedback. I'm going to try to keep this fairly balanced, giving a positive then a negative, because frankly, this is a really good game. I think it has a chance to be my favorite Call of Duty, but it's not perfect, and so here are my thoughts. So we're going to start with something positive because I want to get this video started right. I love the setting of World War II. I've always been a fan of World War II when it comes to video games and movies and things like that. When you think back on different wars, Vietnam always feels icky to me. It's a real sticky, like sweaty, humid jungle, and I just can't stand it. And the modern wars are all deserts. Everything just feels really hot and miserable. I don't like that at all. But when you go to World War II, the setting is awesome. You got, broken buildings and tanks in the streets, and it's like you're fighting in a town, and it's just a whole lot better. I also am a big fan of the World War II era weapons, so I think that this game looks fantastic simply because of the setting. I think that it sounds fantastic because I love the sound effects of these guns and things like that. I like how when you're the Axis, you are using the like pipe bomb type grenade, and when you're the Allies, you get the pineapple grenades. It's just kind of cool. I really like that. I hope that they do more changes like that. Like when the actual game comes out, maybe you get more than just different types of grenades. It'd be really cool to get like score streaks that do the same thing but look different. Like maybe you get to play as a Japanese person, and instead of a glide bomb, you get to be a kamikaze pilot. That would be kind of fun. That's obviously a joke. They're definitely not going to do that. Anyway, so when it comes to movies and games, I always prefer World War II, and this is a pretty good one. I never played World at War. I never actually played any other Call of Duty that was World War II, and playing this game makes me sad that I didn't get to. And now it's time for something negative, because I'll be darned if I'm going to go full Allié and just sprinkle my love flakes all over this game. The first negative I have is probably the most talked about thing. If you're active on Reddit or any of those forums, you have definitely heard about how bad the connections were in the beta. There were constant lobbies where you're just getting completely owned. Just by the time your system registers the guy firing his first shot, he's already fired all 4 and you're dead. You just got instant melted. It was ridiculous. Sometimes you were on the good end of it, sometimes you're on the bad end of it, and it got to the point where it was a roll of the dice or a flip of the coin whether you were going to be double positive or double negative, simply based on the connections. This one has me a little worried because that was a big problem in Advanced Warfare also. And I always just made excuses for Sledgehammer, saying, Advanced Warfare, there's a lot going on screen, you're bouncing all over the place, it's very fast-paced, the weapons all at a super high rate of fire, maybe it's just too much for the system to handle. That is definitely not the case with this one. It's a much slower-paced Call of Duty. The weapons fire slower than they did in Advanced Warfare, your character moves slower than he did in Advanced Warfare, and there's not nearly as much going on screen. So it's definitely not something like the system not being able to keep up with everything that's going on. And I am not a technical genius. I really don't know much about connections or anything like that. But my theory on this, and the one thing that gives me hope, is that it's because this is a beta. And the reason I say that is because with a beta, yeah, there's a lot of people who pre-ordered the game, but there's a lot more people who didn't pre-order the game, so the player base is relatively very small for Call of Duty. And so it's very possible that we're just getting bad connected lobbies because they don't have enough players to give us good connected lobbies. And the thing that really makes me think that is the fact that if you went into the Mosh Pit playlist, it was infinitely worse than going into the Team Deathmatch playlist. Now, I played a lot of Mosh Pit this weekend because I'm someone who enjoys other game modes like Domination and Hardpoint, and it was unplayable fairly often. It was aggravating. I rage quit multiple games, and then I'd go into Team Deathmatch and I would be back to my double positive ways, and and playing really well. So I think that it has to do with player base. It's a situation that will hopefully be better once the original game comes out, but it was so bad in the beta, I felt like I needed to mention it here, even though it's been mentioned just about everywhere. Okay, so time for some more positive. Yay, more positive. I am someone who really enjoyed the class setup in this. The community seems fairly split on whether divisions are a good thing or a bad thing. I think they're great. The reason being that they reduce the number of crutch perks that everyone can have. You know, every Call of Duty game seems to have like these, you know, specific perks like Dead Silence, Awareness, Ghost. I could keep going all day. There's all these crutch perks in the games, and everyone always has them on their class. So basically, you end up with all these different classes that are 90% the same, and in the end, there's very little variety, and it renders other things useless. Like if you have Ghost in the game, then 99% of people are going to be running Ghost, and your UAV and minimap are going to be pointless. And so with this one, they said, well, you can't do that. You know, we're going to have these divisions, and you're going to have to pick a play style, and you're going to have to run that playstyle, and you're not going to be able to be fast and invisible. You're not going to be able to be hard to kill and good at killing, etc. And so I really enjoyed that aspect. And, you know, just one thing, for example, the minimap is useful again because of the way they did silencers, where in order to use the silencer, you have to use both an SMG and the airborne class. No one else has access to silencers. And so, 90% of people weren't using silencers, which meant the minimap was actually useful. And again, like Ghost was something that you had to give up, longer sprint speeds or longer sprint times and faster speeds or extra perks on your weapon, things like that, in order to run a stealth class. So again, the UAV was actually useful. And to keep UAV from being overpowered, they made it super easy to shoot down. I feel like it's a fairly well-balanced Call of Duty. There's a lot of people picking individual things, like I mentioned how the UAVs are so easy to shoot down. A lot of people think that makes them crap. And it's like, no, the UAV would be overpowered if it was hard to shoot down because no one is using the Stay Off UAV perk. So it actually is fairly well balanced. I really like it. And it's forced me to get better at the game. Like, I'm not able to rely on my traditional class setup to protect me and hide my flaws in my ability as a gamer. Like, I'm actually trying to play better because I have to play better to make up for the limited class setup that I have. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people do like it. The competitive community is very worried about it, but I think they did it pretty well. And I'm going to stay in that same vein of class setup for my negative, because as much as I like the divisions in the game, the class setup as a whole I really didn't care for, and the reason that I don't like other aspects of it is because it forces you to have a grenade. Either a grenade, a tactical grenade, or a landmine. And the problem with that is that it destroys objective game modes. I played a lot of domination, I played a little bit of hardpoint, and every single time you jump in the hill in hardpoint or you jump on the flag in domination, it is nothing but grenades. You're literally there for 5 seconds before you have 3 grenades at your feet, because every single person has a grenade. They literally don't have a choice not to. The problem is that grenades cost you nothing to have on your class. You must have them. However, the counter grenade, this game's equivalent of flak vest, is in one of the divisions, and it's the last thing that you unlock in that division. So you have to, let's see, you get 5 perks in your division, including your weapon thing like silencer or bayonet, and you get 1 basic training perk. So basically, as far as your perks go, you have to allow 5/6 of your class setup to be dominated by the fact that everyone else is going to have a grenade. So if you don't want to be constantly blowing up the entire game, you have to give up 5 perks that you would rather have just to have that 1 flak vest. Now, this could be fixed in one of two ways. And I'm going to give these because I like to give solutions to the problems that I see. And I think that these are fairly reasonable. Number one, you could make Flak Vest a basic training perk so that you don't have to swap out your division just to survive grenades. And number two, you could take away grenades, or you could take away deadly grenades, like fragmentation grenades, and instead attach them to one of the divisions. So like how Airborne Division gets a silencer, nobody else gets silencers. You know, maybe make it to where anyone can use a bayonet, and only the infantry can use a fragmentation grenade, or something like that. And you could even make the grenades more powerful in that situation. Like the fragmentation grenade has a larger blast radius and does more damage, but only infantrymen can use it. Something like that, so that you're not constantly bombarded by grenades every time you jump in the hill. I mean, literally, hardpoint is 10 seconds in the hill, blown up by 4 grenades. It's really unplayable. It has a huge impact on it. I mentioned the competitive scene earlier. They're worried about the divisions messing with everyone's classes. I'm more worried about the fact that everyone has a grenade, and hardpoint is a prominent game mode in the competitive community. So hopefully they will figure out how to fix that, because I really don't want to see a situation where anyone who's not playing Team Deathmatch absolutely must run the class that has Flak Vest in it. So thanks for listening and watching. Again, I can't stress this enough. I am very excited about this game. I'm very sad that the beta is over and I have to go 2 whole months without getting to play again. But yeah, so I'm back. I'm not going to promise to upload on a daily basis or a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, because this is not a revenue for me. This is a hobby for me. So if you're looking for somebody who will give high quality videos like this one that are interesting and enjoyable to watch, but not very frequently, then I suggest you subscribe to my channel. If you're looking for someone to upload daily content, then that's not going to be who I am. And goodbye.